The US Federal Reserve's decision to cut rates by a big margin 7 weeks before the vote has it fielding criticism from both political parties. It is in the Fed's best interest to keep its distance from politics. However, the Fed's daring move to strengthen the economy in the weeks leading up to a high-stakes election that comes into the spotlight. Our next report telling you more.
Borrowing costs in the US were cut by 0.5 percentage point on September 18th. That is a bigger than usual move. This was motivated by a clear economic rationale since inflation has been under control and the labor market is losing momentum. However, the first rate cut in 4 years comes at an awkward time for policymakers. This is right before a presidential election where voters' opinions on the economy might make or break the race. The Fed often stresses that monetary policy has a lag. So, the decision this month will not have a major impact on employment or investment patterns until after the election on November 5th. But it may enhance market sentiment and the mood of regular Americans. This would likely be great for a Democratic campaign that is hoping to ride the wave of economic optimism. Christina Parajon-Skinner, an associate professor at the Wharton School who studies central banks, said the risk is that cutting rates will improve the economy and it will look to a lot of people, a lot of bystanders, a lot of lay people, like the Fed is trying to improve the economy before the election to help one of the candidates win. The Fed's move has already drawn some flack. Republican candidate Donald Trump hinted that the Fed might be playing politics. However, that is a fairly mild critique by his past standards. Some Democrats have sniped at Chair Jerome Powell too. All of this could be dismissed as typical election year politicking. However, the spotlight on the central bank is unusually bright right now. Inflation spiked due to the pandemic, but the Federal Reserve was slow to respond. It is currently attempting the precarious balancing act of bolstering the job market without driving up prices any further. This is happening while the independence that central bankers value is a hotly debated topic in politics. Members of the Trump campaign have advocated for giving elected officials greater control over campaign finances. The ruling party claims the economy is booming, while the opposition party claims it is foundering, as is typical in election years. However, the Fed's action has provided fodder to both sides. Outside of the global financial crisis year of 2008, the Fed hasn't pulled the trigger on rate cuts this close to a presidential election since the 1960s. Ernie Tedeschi, an economist who worked in the White House during the Biden administration, said, "The Fed is more politically vulnerable than it's been in decades. If they can land the plane successfully, the lateness of their initial response will be mostly a footnote." Tedeschi added, "But if they don't, it's going to be a cautionary tale in many ways. So, there really is a lot at stake." For now, and despite criticisms, Fed Chair Powell enjoys plenty of goodwill on Capitol Hill among lawmakers from both parties. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.